Well, good morning. Welcome to lesson 153 in my defenselessness, my safety lies. It's a critical lesson, this one, and one that I've found to be very helpful many times in the face of confronting what seems to be the cycles of my thinking showing up again out there in the world again and again and again, and then being able to make a decision. Hang on a minute, I recognize this signature of this particular situation. I'm not going to defend myself the next time this comes around. And if you're vigilant for your own process, which through this mind training you're learning to be, you will recognize, you'll start to become aware of, let's say, the habits of miscreative thought that you're projecting out into the universe and getting the results of back, okay, reflected at you. And defenselessness is a way where previously I've put up a defense to defend myself against something that I think may hurt me because I'm convinced I'm a body, primarily, as a way to use that identity against God, okay, to maintain the separation. And so I become defenseless then through my new choice, my new decision to walk to God, with God, in God. And I become vigilant and I see where it is that I am defending myself. And then I make a decision. I don't want to defend myself there. I don't know what else to do instead, but I'm not going to defend myself. Okay. And that will inevitably bring up all that emotionality that seemed to be the cause of having to make a quick defense and patches and, like, so you can't get hurt by what it is you think's threatening you because of that misidentity perception. Right? That'll bring up all that emotionality, and in that you'll be able to offer that to God for healing. It's like, you take this from me, and just stand there and let it happen, whatever that is, however much emotions and things that is, just let it happen. And whether you cry or laugh or cough or vomit or it can look like anything. Okay, so, but we be still and we release all that emotional energy. Right, so, and that's in accordance with the decision to release our thoughts, or my thoughts about, keeping it singular, my thoughts about whatever I think it is that I think I see, that I've given a meaning to, that actually doesn't have a meaning. Okay, lesson 1, nothing I see means anything. All right, you here feel, this is a big lesson, 4 pages, so I'm just going to keep reading, okay? Okay. You who feel threatened by this changing world, its twists of fortune and its bitter jests, its brief relationships and all the gifts it merely lends to take away again, attend this lesson well. The world provides no safety. It is rooted in attack, and all its gifts of seeming safety are illusory deceptions. It attacks and then attacks again. No peace of mind is possible where danger threatens thus. The world gives rise but to defensiveness. That's it. That's all there is. There's only defensiveness here. We become so accustomed to it from the time we're born, or we think we're born, that it's not until finally we get to like middle age or something and you realize there's got to be a better way, that you can begin to see how everything is attacking you. Everything is representing that idea of no safety, etc. And it just becomes overwhelming, as it is globally at the moment with this pandemic thing, right? It seems to be there's an energetic association with the whole thing that is just overwhelming. Everyone just wants it to stop, to be over, and to be back in a safe place. But the world give rise, no peace of mind is possible where danger threatens us. The world gives rise but to defensiveness. For threat brings anger. Anger makes attack seem reasonable, honestly provoked, and righteous in the name of self-defense. Yet is defensiveness a double threat, for it attests to weakness and sets up a system of defense that cannot work. Now are the weak still further undermined, for there is treachery without and still a greater treachery within. The mind is now confused and knows not where to turn to find escape from its imaginings. Go within. It is as if a circle held it fast, wherein another circle bounded and another in that one, until escape no longer can be hoped for nor obtained. Attack, defense, defense, attack become the circles of the hours and the days that bind the mind in heavy bands of steel with iron overlaid, returning but to start again. There seems to be no break nor ending in the ever-tightening grip of imprisonment upon the mind. I had a nice little release this morning. I was just walking to the shower and I had an awful night's sleep. I kept waking up with all these nightmares or dreams of like crowds of millions of people protesting and everything, which is all over the news at the moment. And walking to the shower this morning, and I just suddenly had this thought, it's like, oh my God, I think I'm a body. And that thought actually just went bang, popped in there. And it's like it was one of those light bulb moments that even though I've experienced that I'm not a body, even though I can read this book 1,000 times, it's like you have to have that kind of like moment of boop, where you actually realize where you connect with your thoughts. You know, it's kind of cool. And a great weight. I made a decision, you know, it's like, I'm not a body. My brothers are not bodies. None of this is so. And I choose to stay in that place, not in the place where I think I'm a body. And a great weight was lifted from my shoulders, and until the next one, I guess. But it's mind training. We're doing this again and again and again and again and again. Okay, so learning through repetition. There seems to be no break nor ending in the ever-tightening grip of imprisonment upon the mind. Defenses are the costliest of all the prices which the ego would exact. Defenses are the costliest of all the prices which the ego would exact. In them lies madness in a form so grim that hope of sanity seems but to be an idle dream, beyond the possible. The sense of threat the world encourages is so much deeper and so far beyond the frenzy and intensity of which you can conceive that you have no idea of all the devastation it has wrought. Right? That's a really cool line. The sense of threat the world encourages is so much deeper and so far beyond the frenzy and intensity of which you can conceive that you have no idea of all the devastation it has wrought. Okay? In my own association, I can't conceive of how deep that depth of insanity goes, how deep that the effect of my madness is upon my world and really upon my mind. I just sort of exist here in this narrow band of consciousness that see, hear, smell, touch, taste, and think about all those things. But really, it's like the running program in the background here. There's just like this, this incredible thirst for destruction, right? for oblivion, and which is the nature of ego mind. That's the entirety of it, is total oblivion. But it's like I can't conceive of that. I don't have a reference point for total oblivion. All I can imagine is that perhaps I don't exist, or that the world doesn't exist. Everything's gone. No God, no nothing, total, try to hold that there. But even then there, like that total nothingness, it's the same as total everything, which is the singularity of God. I can't conceive of God as a mental picturing in my mind. I have to have the experience, which is luckily why we have this book. But it's the same on the other side of the coin with the ego. The ego has as much power to manifest the idea of the potential that can be expressed as Christ mind creating, as ego does Christ mind miscreating, or ego mind miscreating. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I'm not doing a good job of explaining that, but anyway, I'll just keep reading. Where are we here? You do not realize what you have done to sabotage the holy peace of God by your defensiveness. For you behold the Son of God as but a victim to attack by fantasies, by dreams, and by illusions he has made, yet helpless in their presence, needful only of defense by still more fantasies and dreams by which illusions of his safety comfort him. Defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of the Christ in you. Perhaps you will recall the Course maintains that choice is always made between his strength and your own weakness seen apart from him. Defenselessness can never be attacked because it recognizes strength so great attack is folly, or a silly game a tired child might play when he becomes too sleepy to remember what he wants. Nice pictures. Defensiveness is weakness. It proclaims you have denied the Christ and come to fear his Father's anger. What can save you now from your delusion of an angry God whose fearful image you believe you see at work in all the evils of the world? What but illusions could defend you now when it is but illusions which you fight? It's like Don Quixote jousting at windmills. They're dragons. We will not play such childish games today, for our true purpose is to save the world, and we would not exchange for foolishness the endless joy our function offers us. We would not let our happiness slip by because a senseless fragment of a dream happened to cross our minds, and we mistook the figures in it for the Son of God, its tiny instant for eternity. And you really have to look at the big picture here. It's like 100 million years of the earth in all of eternity, or 300 million years, or whatever it is. In all of eternity, it's nothing. Just as if I was to associate with this avatar, which is now 7 years, 56 years or something, it seems like a blink since I have a memory of being a child, and now here I am reading this lesson, and what time has passed? It seems like no time has passed at all. Luckily, none of that is true in its entirety either. A tiny instant for eternity. We look past dreams today and recognize that we need no defense because we are created unassailable, without all thought or wish or dream in which attack has any meaning. Now we cannot fear, for we have left all fearful thoughts behind. And in defenselessness we stand secure, serenely certain of our safety now, sure of salvation, sure we will fulfill our chosen purpose as our ministry extends its holy blessing through the world. Be still a moment and in silence think how holy is your purpose, how secure you rest, untouchable within its light. God's ministers have chosen that the truth be with them. Yes. Who is holier than they? Who would be surer that his happiness is fully guaranteed? And who could be more mightily protected? What defense could possibly be needed by the ones who are among the chosen ones of God by his election and their own as well? Right? All are called, few choose to listen. If you're listening to this video, you've obviously chosen to listen. It is the function of God's ministers to help their brothers choose as they have done. God has elected all, but few have come to realize his will is but their own. And while you fail to teach what you have learned, salvation waits and darkness holds the world in grim imprisonment. Nor will you learn that light has come to you and your escape has been accomplished, for you will not see the light until you offer it to all your brothers. As they take it from your hands, so will you recognize it as your own. Salvation can be thought of as a game that happy children play. It was designed by one who loves his children and whom would replace their fearful toys with joyous games which teach them that the game of fear is gone. His game instructs in happiness because there is no loser. Everyone who plays must win, and in his winning is the gain to everyone ensured. The game of fear is gladly laid aside when children come to see the benefits salvation brings. And you're not going to see the benefits until you put it into application. I have to apply this to the stuff that goes on for me personally, individually, not just read a book, but in my out there, in my world, in my job, in my relationships, in my fantasies and imaginings within my mind. I have to apply these principles. Okay, the whole thing. Ready? Don't judge the form, apply the principle. Doesn't matter what it is that's showing up. Don't judge the form, apply the principle. Say that to me. Right. It's funny. A little moment there. A dear one just popped in. Say after me. Dear, oh dear. You who have played that you are lost to hope, abandoned by your father, left alone in terror in a fearful world made mad by sin and guilt, be happy now. That game is over. Now a quiet time has come in which we put away the toys of guilt and lock our quaint and childish thoughts of sin forever from the pure and holy minds of heaven's children and the Son of God. We pause but for a moment more to play our final happy game upon this earth, and then we go to take our rightful place where truth abides and games are meaningless. So is the story ended. Let this day bring the last chapter closer to the world, that everyone may learn the tales he reads of terrifying destiny, defeat of all his hopes, his pitiful defence against a vengeance he cannot escape, was but his own deluded fantasy. God's ministers have come to waken him from the dark dreams this story has evoked in his confused, bewildered memory of this distorted tale. God's Son can smile at last on learning that it is not true. Today we will practice in a form we will maintain for quite a while. We will begin each day by giving our attention to the daily thought as long as possible. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. 5 minutes now becomes the least we give to preparation for the day in which salvation is the only goal we have. 10 would be better, 15 better still. And as the distraction ceases to arise to turn us from our purpose, we will find that half an hour is too short a time to spend with God, nor will we willingly give less at night in gratitude and joy. Each hour adds to our increasing peace as we remember to be faithful to the will we share with God. At times, perhaps a minute, even less, will be the most that we can offer as the hour strikes. Sometimes we will forget. At other times, the business of the world will close on us and we will be unable to withdraw a little while and turn our thoughts to God. Yet, when we can, we will observe our trust as ministers of God in hourly remembrance of our mission and his love. And we will quietly sit by and wait on him and listen to his voice and learn what he would have us do the hour that is yet to come, while thanking him for all the gifts he gave us in the one gone by. In time, with practice, you will never cease to think of him and hear his loving voice guiding your footsteps into quiet ways where you will walk in true defenselessness. For you will know that heaven goes with you. Nor would you keep your mind away from him a moment, even though your time is spent in offering salvation to the world. Think you he will not make this possible for you who chose to carry out his plan for the salvation of the world and yours? Today our theme is our defenselessness. We clothe ourselves in it as we prepare to meet the day. We rise up strong in Christ and let our weakness disappear as we remember that his strength abides in us. We will remind ourselves that he remains beside us throughout the day and never leaves our weakness unsupported by his strength. We call upon his strength each time we feel the threat of our defenses undermine our certainty of purpose. We will pause a moment as he tells us, I am here. Your practicing will now begin to take the earnestness of love to help you keep your mind from wandering from its intent. Be not afraid or timid. There can be no doubt that you will reach your final goal. The ministers of God can never fail because the love and strength and peace that shine from them to all their brothers come from him. These are his gifts to you. Defenselessness is all you need to give him in return. You lay aside but what was never real to look on Christ and see his sinlessness. Whew. That's a good lesson. And the application of the lesson is the proof of the pudding. It's like you really have to make a conscious decision with all of these lessons, with every effort that you're going to make, with every application that you want to put into place in your own particular association of things as they come around and around. And you'll realize you have the same kinds of thoughts again and again. You have to be willing, which is all it is. Be willing, firstly, to forgive yourself for this. I'm willing to let this go. I'm willing. Right? Now, if it comes around again, obviously the willingness wasn't true, wasn't honest. It's like, I need a miracle. Luckily, you're entitled to miracles. I think it was lesson 77 way back then. But remember, everything's miracle-mindedness. And I love Albert Einstein, who said, there's two ways to see the world. One is if nothing is a miracle, and the other is if everything is a miracle. I'll just leave you with that one. Peace.